I think we don't have tools that help us enough. I mean, we have tools that help us, right? IntelliSense is really lovely, but we can go much, much further than that, especially in the context of these programming ecosystems where you have just huge numbers of packages and a huge amount of information online available to you, and learning how to interface with those packages and learning what is available is a huge part of our job as coders. And so having a system that can be more helpful and be helpful in sort of an extensible way is something that I see as a future for our tools. I think when I'm writing a library, I should be able to do more than just to here are the programming interfaces. The editor should in some way get involved with that. I should be able to flag to those systems hey, here's how you use this and how you can help consumers, and by which I mean that users use this package that I've made. I don't know. So the official stance of Microsoft, I think, is that they're complementary products, and I can definitely see how they are complementary products. I used to be on the Atom team, actually, and now I'm working on a VS Code extension, so I kind of have feet in both worlds. And they're similar, but they sort of embody different design principles. And so I think for the most part, people who like one feel very connected to it. And so from that perspective, it makes sense to maintain both. I don't know what will happen in the future. Most likely in 5 years, something else will come along and eat them both, right? That seems to be what happens. So I think the most helpful thing that I learned was how to pick things up from documentation, but also from mindlessly hammering my head against it for hours and hours and hours. I learned to code without Google, without Stack Overflow. I actually, when I think back on it, I have no idea how I learned anything. I guess I had manuals and I would read those, and maybe I had dialed into BBSs or something. It was hard, and that's part of why people can now learn to code really fast, right? You have resources, and you have the support structure of bootcamps or academics to help you get into it. But still, there's an immense amount of freedom that comes from being able to teach yourself how to use a system, how to discover the behavior of a system just by playing with it. And that, I think, is one of the most important things I taught. So when I started at all the boot camps I taught at, I didn't actually know the stack that any of them were teaching. So I started at Dev Bootcamp, and they taught Rails, and I didn't know Rails. And then I moved to Full Stack Academy, where they taught Angular, which I didn't know Angular. And then we switched to React, and I didn't know React. But I actually think those few months when I didn't know what was going on, I didn't know the framework at all, I think those were the most helpful for the students to be in this position of watching me learn something, and we could go and encounter a problem and then figure out the answer together, and so they could see that process of how you discover that.